Hi everyone, this is a simple explanation of the nitrogen cycle. In this video, we'll talk about the steps in nitrogen cycle, starting from the fixation of nitrogen to nitrification, a process called Anammox, and we talk about denitrification as well as ammonification and the alterations in the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen in its available form is in the form of dinitrogen, a gas which is found ubiquitously in the atmosphere. About 79% of our atmosphere consists of dinitrogen gas, and directly it is of no use to us, so it has to be fixed. The fixation of nitrogen could be either through biological processes and even abiotic processes. Abiotic processes like lightning strikes as well as automobile exhausts can produce oxides of nitrogen, while in biological processes there are numerous prokaryotes and archaea and even fungi that can fix this atmospheric nitrogen into its biologically available form for the rest of the plants to use. It is a very important component for all our biomolecules, that is the DNA, RNA, proteins, amino acids, etc. And nitrogen for plants is a limiting resource. A limiting resource is such a resource which is not abundantly available to them, and they have to spend energy for their extraction. The nitrogen cycling involves two parts. One is oxic and the other one is anoxic. The starting of the nitrogen cycle through nitrogen fixation is an anoxic process. That means it does not need any oxygen to happen. It usually occurs in soil and in underwater environments and requires a lot of energy. The nitrogen is fixed into ammonia and thereby the oxic process starts. So ammonia is getting oxidized into nitrite and nitrite is getting oxidized into nitrate. The reverse process of denitrification is totally anoxic. The first step in the nitrogen cycle is nitrogen fixation. It makes the available atmospheric nitrogen into biologically available form. As nitrogen gas is a very stable molecule due to the presence of triple bonds, it is a very energy intensive process. Abiotically, it can happen through lightning strikes and even in fossil fuel combustion. But biotically, it is fixed through a select group of prokaryotes that are free living, or it could be symbiotically associated with plants, like your rhizobium, which is involved with the root nodules of legume plants. They could also be aerobic or anaerobic and could even be chemotrophic. Chemotrophic organisms are those organisms which obtain their energy not through sunlight but through other inorganic molecules. But all of these prokaryotes have something in common, and that is an enzyme making complex called nitrogenases. That is the main catalyzing source for reduction of nitrogen to ammonia. Here is a list of the genuses of nitrogen fixing bacteria. For example, nostoc, anabaena, rhizobium, and frankia, pseudomonas, azobacter, along with their lifestyles. And these bacteria are associated with particular plants and are held in the root nodules of those plants, forming a symbiotic association and helps in the nitrogen fixation for the plant. The second step in the nitrogen cycle is called nitrification. Nitrification itself is a two-step process. The first step involves the oxidation of ammonia into nitrite by ammonia oxidizing microbes that fix carbon dioxide using ammonia instead of light. It is carried out by prokaryotes of the genera Nitrosomonas, Nitrospira, Nitrosococcus, and also by a lot of genera of archaea. Most of these archaea have not even been lab recorded. An example of an archaea is Nitrospumulus martimus. The second step of nitrification involves oxidation of nitrite into nitrate by nitrite oxidizing bacteria of genera Nitrospina, Nitrospira, Nitrobacter, and Nitrococcus. The first step in the process of nitrification involves oxidation of ammonia into an intermediate called hydroxylamine using the enzyme ammonia monooxygenase. The second step involves the conversion of this hydroxylamine into nitrite with the help of the enzyme hydroxylamine oxidoreductase. Anammox stands for anaerobic ammonia oxidation. This specifically happens under anoxic conditions and is carried out by prokaryotes of Plankomycetes phylum. And this is the step that is followed in this process. Denitrification is the process of reconversion of the nitrate into the gaseous dinitrogen form. It is an anaerobic process and occurs in soils, lakes, and oceans by denitrifying bacteria, which are also chemotrophic, of genus Bacillus, Paracoccus, and Pseudomonas. This step is very important as it is releasing back the oxidized nitrogen into its atmospheric form. These bacteria that denitrify are very useful for wastewater treatment and in reduction of algal blooms. Animal wastes as well as the dead remains of plants and animals consists of organic nitrogenous compounds like amino acids, proteins, DNA, RNA, etc. and are reconverted back in the form of ammonia back to the ecosystem with the help of a lot of prokaryotes as well as fungi, which are also known as detrivores. Humans have almost interfered with all processes on Earth, and nitrogen cycle is not left behind. Since the dawn of industrial nitrogen fixation through the Haber-Bosch process in the 1940s, the amount of fixed nitrogen in the atmosphere has almost doubled. Artificial addition of nitrogen as a plant nutrient interferes with other biogeochemical cycles as well. It increases or decreases the amount of carbon stored in plants. The leached nitrate fertilizers also causes algal blooms. Algal blooms in turn causes anoxia. Anoxia could cause habitat destruction as well as loss of biodiversity. Thank you.